A few people have been commenting recently that I should upgrade my filtration from the relatively old school sponge filters and use some external filters. And as I mentioned before, I do actually have a whole bunch of external filters just sat in the cupboard gathering dust. So why don't I use them? Welcome back everybody, and thanks for watching. As ever, if you haven't already, please hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, give me a thumbs up on this video. I really appreciate it. I hope you have appreciated a little bit of a leap forward in terms of video quality recently. Starting just about to get the hang of this and really enjoying the process. So thanks for watching, thanks for supporting this channel. Back to the question in hand, why do I not use all these external filters that I have in the cupboard? Well, as we know, upstairs I do use an external filter. I have a Fluval 306 attached to the Mbuna tank, and I worked out how much money that cost me to run based on UK energy prices, and right now it costs me about £1.70 a month. Now downstairs in the basement I have two Danilo Escapers tanks, a Nano Cube and a hospital / quarantine tank down there. So that's 4 tanks that are all running off of sponge filters. We can discount this latest one because I'm running that off of a small hang on the back filter, but the other 4, they're all running off of an Hohem Air 200 air pump. And that Hohem Air 200 is a 4 watt. Yeah, 4 watt. 4 tanks, 4 watts. Yeah, that was the number I need to remember. 4 watt pump. And 4 watts, again, based on UK energy prices right now, cost me 40p. Now, it's pretty simple to do the maths there. It cost me 10p a tank to filter these tanks. So that's the main #1 reason. This channel is all about making fish keeping accessible and simplistic, and make sure that everyone feels that this is something they can get involved in. And sponge filters are the #1 way to make that a reality. If you want to get into fish keeping and you don't have very much money, or you're finding it all a bit overwhelming with all the choices that you can make out there in terms of hang on the back this and external that and internal this and polishing and sumps and whatever else, if you just can't get your head around all that right now, the only thing you need to know is put a heater into your tank and put a sponge filter into your tank and cycle your tank. And if you get those things right, you won't go far wrong. So I like sponge filters because they offer a level of simplicity that I think is somewhat lacking in this hobby a lot of the time. So that's my #1 reason. Cost, simplicity, accessibility. It's also really good for breeding. So I have these 2 tanks down here, both with apistogrammas. I'm hopeful that they will breed at some point. Having sponge filtration means that when there are fry in the tank, they won't get sucked up into the filtration, so that will be good. But the other thing is I really enjoy the challenge. Now, I like to think that as I'm getting better at this hobby, my tanks are starting to look more and more what you might consider high tech. But I'm obviously doing that with quite low-tech kit, and I enjoy the kind of challenge really of saying you do not need to have high-tech kit to have a high-tech tank. You can hide all that low-tech tank kit away and still have something that looks awesome that doesn't cost you an arm and a leg to filter. So how do I keep my tanks looking so good? Well, the #1 way that I do that is with one of these. Now, this is just a really generic, really simple, most often Chinese, this one's called Marine Blue, hang on the back filter. In the UK, they cost about £5 on eBay and take maybe about 4 weeks to get here because they ship direct from China. And they are great little things. I hang one on the back of the tank once a week during maintenance. And the great thing about the sponge filter is that it forces that maintenance regime, because you're getting great biological filtration. You're even getting pretty good movement around the tank in terms of circulation, because the type of sponge filters that I choose to use are the ones that go up and have that little lip and push out, and you get a good bit of circulation. But obviously what you don't get is mechanical filtration. And so to do that and to have really clean water and to polish the water, I use one of these with filter floss in the top, and I put them on for about 2 hours during the cleaning process once a week. So I start it about an hour before I'm due to do a water change. I put one of these on, I go in with my turkey baster and my brushes, and I start to kind of get all the gunk up into the main water column, and this little thing sucks it all up, and within about half hour you've got yourself a nice dirty looking piece of filter floss. And then I do a partial water change, and then I put this back on after the water change and leave it on for another hour just to polish everything afterwards as well. And that's my regime. Sponge filter 99% of the week, and then for 2 hours of the week I put on a hang on the back filter and polish the water. And I think the results are pretty good. Now what this means is that I am obviously doing quite a lot of maintenance on the tank, but it also means that I keep up with that maintenance. Upstairs with the Mbuna tank with a 306 filter, I do sometimes let my standards slip. I have to admit that, you know, it can go several weeks without me doing a water change, because it's so easy to just leave that filter be and it does a good enough job, and it takes a while for you to notice, oh, I should really do something about that tank. Down here, you don't have that luxury. So yeah, I think having a good polishing regime and using a sponge filter, actually it makes you interact with your tank in a different way. It makes you appreciate every element of your tank. You look after it more. Maintenance is how you get to know your tank, how you get to know how it's cycling, how you get to know what needs to be done to it, how you come up with ideas of how you might kind of rescape it or replant it or adjust it or do whatever you need to do to it. And if you don't engage in your tank in a practical, hands-on kind of way, then you just want to have that kind of inspiration. You won't make those changes, and you know, eventually you'll just get tired of your tank and you want to scrap it, and you know, that's no fun for anyone. We want to see our tanks flourish into awesome looking things. So although some people might disagree, I think going low tech and keeping things really, really kind of simple, simplistic with a sponge filter is the way to go. And I like showcasing that you can make high-tech looking tanks with all this low-tech kit hidden away. I hope that this is what sets this channel apart, the fact that I offer you a slightly unique perspective. You can have beautiful high-tech looking tanks and run them off a sponge filter. So I hope that was a useful little rant. I'll cut some B-roll in, and I will see you next week. As ever, please remember to hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I will see you next week. Oh, I'm just rambling.